In the Wood, a short story by Guy de Maupassant, narrated by John A.G. Smith. Madame Borin is played by Aileen Archer. Monsieur Borin is played by John A.G. Smith. The mayor and Bredel's son are played by Adrian Figgis.
As the mayor was about to sit down to Sunday breakfast, word was brought to him that the rural policeman, with 2 prisoners, was awaiting him at the Hotel de Ville. He went there at once and found old Urchadeur standing guard before a middle-aged couple whom he was regarding with a severe expression on his face. The man, a fat old fellow with a red nose and white hair, seemed utterly dejected, while the woman, a little roundabout individual with shining cheeks, looked at the official who had arrested them with defiant eyes.
"What is it? What is it, Urchadeur?"
The policeman made his deposition. He had gone out that morning at his usual time in order to patrol his beat from the forest of Champieux as far as the boundaries of Argenteuil. He had not noticed anything unusual in the country, except that it was a fine day and that the wheat was doing well, when the son of old Bredel, who was going over his vines, called out to him.
"Here, Monsieur Urchadeur, go and have a look into the skirts of the wood. In the first thicket, and you will catch a pair of pigeons there that must be 130 years old between them."
He went in the direction indicated, entered the thicket, and there he heard words which made him suspect a flagrant breach of morality. Advancing, therefore, on his hands and knees, as if to surprise a poacher, he had arrested the couple whom he found there. The mayor looked at the culprits in astonishment, for the man was certainly 60, and the woman 55 at least, and he began to question them, beginning with the man, who replied in such a weak voice that he could scarcely be heard.
"What's your name?"
"Nicolas Borin."
"Your occupation?"
"Haberdasher in the Rue des Martyrs in Paris."
"And what were you doing in the wood?"
The haberdasher remained silent, with his eyes on his fat paunch and his hands hanging at his sides, and the mayor continued.
"Do you deny what the officer of the municipal authority states?"
"No, monsieur."
"So you confess it?"
"Yes, monsieur."
"What have you to say in your defense?"
"Nothing, monsieur."
"Where did you meet the partner in your misdemeanor?"
"She is my wife, monsieur."
"Your wife?"
"Yes, monsieur."
"Then you do not live together in Paris?"
"I beg your pardon, monsieur, but we are living together."
"But in that case you must be mad, altogether mad, my dear sir, to get caught playing lovers in the country at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning."
The haberdasher seemed ready to cry with shame, and he muttered, "It was she who enticed me. I told her it was very stupid. But when a woman once gets a thing into her head, you know you cannot get it out." The mayor, who liked to joke, smiled and replied,
"In your case, the contrary ought to have happened. You would not be here if she had kept the idea in her head."
Then Monsieur Borin was seized with rage and turned on his wife. "Do you see what you have brought us to with your poetry? Now we shall have to go before the courts for a breach of morals, and we shall have to shut up the shop, sell our goodwill, and go to some other neighbourhood. That's what it has come to." Madame Borin got up, and without looking at her husband, she explained herself without embarrassment, without useless modesty, and almost without hesitation.
"Of course, monsieur, I know that we have made ourselves ridiculous. Will you allow me to plead my cause like an advocate, or rather like a poor woman? And I hope that you will be kind enough to send us home, and to spare us the disgrace of a prosecution. Years ago, when I was young, I made Monsieur Borin's acquaintance one Sunday in this neighbourhood. He was employed in a draper's shop, and I was a young lady in a ready-made clothing establishment. I remember it as if it were yesterday. I used to come and spend Sundays here occasionally with a friend of mine, Rose Lévesque, with whom I lived in Rue Pigalle. And Rose had a sweetheart while I had none. He used to bring us here, and one Saturday he told me, laughing, that he should bring a friend with him. The next day I quite understood what he meant, but I replied that it would be no good, for I was virtuous, monsieur. The next day we met Monsieur Borin at the railway station, and in those days he was good-looking. But I had made up my mind not to encourage him, and I did not. It was a lovely day, the sort of day that tickles your heart. In the country, the swallows flying so swiftly, the smell of the grass, the daisies and scarlet poppies. Oh, that makes me crazy. It is like champagne when one is not used to it. Well, it was lovely weather, warm and bright, and it seemed to penetrate into your body, through your eyes and through your mouth when you breathed. Rose and Simone hugged and kissed each other every minute. Monsieur Borin and I walked behind them without speaking much. He looked timid, and I liked to see his embarrassment. At last we got to the little wood, and we all four sat down. Rose and her lover teased me because I looked rather stern, but you will understand that I could not be otherwise. Then they began to kiss and hug again, without putting any more restraint upon themselves than if we had not been there, and they whispered together and went off among the trees without saying a word. I felt so confused at seeing them go that it gave me courage, and I began to talk. I asked him what his business was, and he said he was a linen draper's assistant, as I told you just now. We talked for a few minutes, and that made him bold, and he wanted to take liberties with me. But I told him sharply to keep his own place. Is that not true, Monsieur Borin?
Monsieur Borin, who was looking at his feet in confusion, did not reply.
Then he saw that I was virtuous, and he began to make love to me nicely, like an honourable man. And from that time he came every Sunday, for he was very much in love with me. And I was very fond of him also, very fond of him. He was a good-looking fellow, formerly, and in short, he married me the next September, and we started a business in the Rue de Martyrs. It was an hard struggle for some years, monsieur. Business did not prosper, and we could not afford many trips to the country. We were growing old by degrees without perceiving it, like quiet people who do not think much about love. One does not regret anything as long as one does not notice what one has lost. And after that, monsieur, business went better, and we became tranquil as to the future. Then, you see, I do not know exactly what passed within me. No, I really do not know. But I began to dream like a little boarding school girl. The sight of the little carts full of flowers about the streets made me cry. The smell of violets brought me out of my easy chair and made my heart beat. And then I would get up and go out on the doorstep to look at the blue sky between the roofs. And when one looks at the sky from a street, it looks like a river which descends on Paris, winding as it flows. And the swallows pass to and fro in it like fish. These ideas are very stupid at my age, but what can one do, monsieur, when one has worked all one's life? A moment comes in which one perceives that one could have done something else, and one regrets. Oh, yes, one feels intense regret. Just think, for 20 years I might have gone and kissed in the woods like as a woman. I used to think how delightful it would be to lie under the trees and to be in love with someone. And I thought of it every day and every night, and I dreamed of the moonlight on the water, until I felt inclined to drown myself. I did not venture to speak to Monsieur Borin about this at first. I knew that he would make fun of me and send me back to my needles and cotton, And to speak the truth, Monsieur Borain never said much to me. But when I looked in the glass, I also understood quite well that I no longer appealed to anyone. Well, I made up my mind. I proposed to him an excursion to the country, to the place where we had first become acquainted, and he agreed without mistrusting anything. And we arrived here this morning about 9 o'clock, and I felt quite young again when I got among the wheat, for a woman's heart never grows old. And really, I no longer saw my husband as he is at present, but just like he was formerly. That I will swear to you, monsieur, as true as I am standing here. I was intoxicated, and I began to kiss him, and he was more surprised than if I had tried to murder him. He kept saying to me, "Why, you must be mad. You are mad this morning. What is the matter with you?" I did not listen to him. I only listened to my own heart, and I made him come into the wood with me. That is all. I have spoken the truth, Monsieur le Maire. The whole truth.
The mayor was a sensible man. He rose from his chair and smiled, and said,
Go in peace, madame, and sin no more. Under the trees.